All right. Thank you very much for coming today. It's lovely to see you guys again and to have another session together. So it's our Bloom and Grow March session. As with previous sessions, I'm recording it so that people can have the replay if they're not able to make this time slot. So feel free to have cameras on and off, whatever you prefer, whatever makes you most comfortable throughout the session, and do whatever's most comfortable for you in terms of participation. You don't have to join in everything if you don't want to. You don't need to share things if you don't want to. But if you do have any questions or anything you want to share, feel free to chip in and ask at any point throughout the session. The theme today is going to be on movement and grounding. So hopefully that's what you were expecting from the sign up. So it's going to be a mix of some different practices that we'll do today. I'll just start sharing my screen. So I do have some little slides just to guide us through it. If I can find the share button. Ah, there we go. It's all just moved around because I pressed the record button. So hopefully you can see this. Are you able to see the slides? Yeah, perfect. Great. Okay, as said, it's our usual Bloom and Grow session for March. The theme today is on grounding and movement. So I will move on to that. It's going to be a bit similar to some of the previous sessions in terms of it's just going to be a mixture of different practices. So we'll do a bit of journaling, and I think you've both got your notebook and pen for that. We'll do a meditation, a bit of a visualization, and a bit of mindful movement as well. It'll all be very gentle. There'll be nothing strenuous tonight or this morning, I guess, for you, Kathy. So it's all about comfort and grounding and just enjoying it. Participate as much as you want or as little as you want. Look after your own needs. You know, if you need to get up and grab a cup of coffee or something, feel free. If you want to adjust posture or anything, that's all fine. And everything's just a gentle invitation. So take what serves you, leave what doesn't resonate for you, and just do whatever you like. And offer yourself kindness and compassion throughout the session, and just, yeah, do what you like, essentially. And feel free to ask questions at any point if you've got any questions. Hopefully there won't be too many crazy cats flying about the screen. My cats have just settling down for the evening after their dinner. So I'm going to invite you just to get comfortable, to settle in for the start of the evening. And just begin with 3 deep breaths. Just taking in a big inhale and exhale and getting comfortable. Hey, and just notice how you're feeling in this moment. Just notice anything that you need. Okay, so we're going to start off this evening with a meditation. It's going to be a grounding meditation where we'll work through some different things that we can use to anchor ourselves and to ground ourselves. So, most often in meditation, we use breathing as our anchor to ground us. So, we will do some part of the meditation focusing on breathing. And we often also focus on bodily sensations, and we will look at that as well as part of the meditation. But sometimes when you're meditating, or if you're just having a difficult experience, you can sometimes find it a bit agitating to focus on the breath or to focus on bodily sensation, just depending what's going on in your situation at the time. So it's also helpful to try some other anchors and to bring different anchors into your meditation and into your grounding practice so that you have some alternatives to choose from. And it's almost like turning up the sensations so that you've got that anchor to focus on and to take your attention to. So during this meditation, I'm going to invite you to try out a range of different anchors and different things that you can focus your attention on for grounding you. And it will include the breath, but we'll also try some other ones. And through doing those different anchors, you'll hopefully get a sense of one or more anchors that feels safe for you and feels like something that you could turn to whenever you need something to ground you. If you're feeling a bit overwhelmed or you need something to take your attention to, then you'll have these different anchors that you could turn to, whether that's during a meditation or just in daily life if you need something to ground you and focus you. So I will introduce various different ones during the meditation. If you feel some of them resonate with you, feel free to continue focusing on that. If you feel that some of them don't really appeal to you, you can just, go back to one that works better for you, whether that's, the breath or bodily sensations or one of the other anchors that I'll introduce. So just go with the flow, see what works best for you, and yeah, enjoy it. So if you want to get comfortable into your meditation posture, you can do it sitting, standing, lying down, whatever works for you. And just take a moment to get settled in that comfortable posture. Maybe you need to adjust cushions or get a blanket to keep you cozy. Just do whatever makes you comfortable. And once you're settled into your posture, you might like to close your eyes to help you have that inner focus. If that doesn't feel comfortable, then perhaps just gazing into your lap. You might want to just gaze gently at your hands if they're resting in your lap, but just taking your attention to a focus point. Just taking a moment to settle into your body, settle into the posture that you're in. Noticing the contact between your body and the surface beneath you. Perhaps you can feel your back resting against the chair, maybe your bum on the seat, and perhaps your feet resting on the ground beneath you. So just taking a moment to tune in to that sensation of contact, of the surface beneath you supporting your body. And then I invite you to take your attention to your breath, just noticing the sensations of your in breath and your out breath. Noticing where you feel the breathing most strongly. Where do you feel the breath in your body? Perhaps you can feel the rising and falling of your shoulders with the inhale and the exhale. Perhaps you can feel your rib cage expanding and subsiding with each breath. Maybe you feel your belly rising and falling as you're breathing in and breathing out. And perhaps you can even notice some subtle sensations in your back, perhaps pressing against the chair with each in breath and pulling away gently with the out breath. So just tuning into the sensations of breathing. And if your mind starts to wander, that's very natural. Our minds are made to wander. Simply noticing that your mind has wandered is a practice of mindfulness, having that attention. And you can notice that your mind has wandered, notice the thought, and then just gently guide your attention back to your breath or back to whatever anchor we're focusing on. So just tuning into your inhale and your exhale and the movements in your body. Then I invite you to take your attention to your shoulders, just focusing on any sensations in your shoulders. What do you feel there in this moment? Any movement, any tension, perhaps the fabric resting against your shoulders. Maybe you don't feel anything, and that's also fine. But just taking a moment to take your attention there. And then I invite you to take your attention to your hands, just noticing your hands. Perhaps they're resting in your lap or maybe in the arms of your chair. What do you feel in your hands in this moment? Are they warm or cool? Do you feel the surface that they're resting on? Perhaps you can notice your fingers touching each other or touching your knees. Maybe notice some tingling or warm air or cool air. Just focusing your attention on your hands. And if your mind wanders, just gently bringing the attention back to your hands. And then I invite you to take your attention to your feet, noticing the contact of your feet with the surface beneath you, grounding you into the earth. What do you feel in your feet in this moment? Perhaps you can feel your socks or your slippers or shoes if you're wearing them. Or if your feet are bare, perhaps you can feel the ground underneath them. Maybe you notice your toes touching. Perhaps you feel the temperature of your skin. Just noticing any sensation. And if you don't notice any, that's also fine. Just feeling the grounding on the floor beneath you. Then I invite you to tune in to any sounds around you. Just noticing the sounds flowing over you. No need to seek them out. Just let them come and go. Perhaps there's some sounds that are close by. Maybe some are further away. No need to identify them, just letting them come and go, whether they're pleasant or unpleasant. Just tuning into those sounds. And if your mind wanders, just coming back to the sounds or coming back to any of the anchors that you prefer to focus on. And then I invite you to notice if you've got your eyes closed, whether there's any light on your eyelids. Maybe it's a warm light or a cool light. Maybe you don't notice any light. And if you do have your eyes closed, I invite you to gently dip your head and gently blink your eyes open and just gaze down, just focusing on whatever you can see in front of you. Perhaps it's your hands in your lap. Just taking a moment to notice what it is you see in front of you. And then I invite you to gently gaze around your room, simply looking and noticing the objects that are close to you. Perhaps noticing the colors and the textures, maybe the light and the shade. Perhaps you can notice the shapes of the objects. Maybe you notice some edges. There might be lines or patterns in the objects around you. And it might feel grounding to just gently gaze, just rest your gaze on an object with no agenda. No need to pass a judgment on the object. No need to analyze anything. Just gently resting your gaze. And then when you feel ready, I invite you to just gently bring your attention back to the space in front of you, back to the screen and the people that you're practicing with. And to just gently bring your attention back and maybe move a little if it feels comfortable. You might want to stretch a bit. And we'll just gently bring this practice to a close. So hopefully you find that quite relaxing and grounding. It's just an example of some different things that you can use as anchors to ground you, usually just using different parts of the senses and different bodily sensations. But yeah, that's just different ones that you can try and see what works best for you. Experiment a bit with it. I'm going to demonstrate a couple of other very short grounding practices that you can do as well, and just little techniques that you can use, just so you've got a range of different things to choose from. So, what I'm going to invite you to do now is to take one of your hands and just have it in front of you, and then take the other, and you just need a finger. So, basically, you've got your hand spread open and you've got your finger. And this is a grounding practice that can be quite useful if you want to focus on the rhythm of the breath, but you're feeling sometimes people feel a bit panicky in their chest if they're focusing too much on their breath. might feel a little bit claustrophobic, especially if you've had asthma or you've got a chest infection or something like that. And it might feel a bit tense to focus on the breath itself in your body. But if you still want to use the rhythm of the breath for anchoring, this can be a different way to do that. So basically, you just have your hands and then you just move your finger along your thumb and your hand according to the rhythm of your breath. So you do it with your own breath. It's not necessarily going to match the speed of my movement because maybe I'm breathing faster or slower than you at the moment, but I'll just demonstrate it. So you move up with the inhale and then down with the exhale, and then move your finger up with the inhale and down with the exhale. And you just keep doing this, just tracing your fingers along your hand as you're breathing and just going like that. So I'm breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And you can just continue doing that for as long as you want to in that kind of rhythm if you want something to focus on. So, a bit similar to during the meditation, when we were focusing on our hands or we were focusing on our feet or even our shoulders, sometimes it's more calming to focus on something that's a bit further away from the lungs and the heart if the breathing is a bit agitated and a bit distracting. So that's just a really simple technique that you can use. I think I often find when I'm doing it that actually gradually my breathing ends up slowing down a bit while I'm doing it, and it's quite calming that way. So that's a really simple one that you can do. Another one is mindful movement, which we're going to do a little bit later. But you can bring in movement if you need something to focus on. And even if you're just sitting at your desk and you're feeling a little bit overexcited and you need a bit of movement to calm you down, it can be really soothing and grounding. And it could be something as simple as just swaying a little bit as you're sitting there, maybe just rolling your shoulders a little bit quite gently. It could be as little as just putting your hands up and moving one side to the other. Just anything that gives you a little bit of movement. You can, move your hands in and out with your breath as well. Just anything with a little bit of movement that helps you to get some of that out of your mind. Ah, yes, alternate nostril breathing, Bob. Yeah, that's a really good technique from yoga, actually, that they use as well. I can never quite get it right the posh way they do. They have a funky way of doing it with the, yeah, which one you hold on, that one, and then that one, I think. So that's another way you can do as well. Maybe less calming if you've got a blocked nose or something, then it might be a bit agitating. But those are different things you can try. And then there's one more short practice that I'll demonstrate very quickly, and you can join in. I don't know if you've heard of this technique before called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. Bob's familiar. So it's basically going through the five senses. So first, you say aloud five things that you can see. So you can kind of just look around you: candle, water bottle, picture, computer screen, and light as five things I can see. Then you can say four things that you can hear. I can't actually hear four things at the moment because I've got my headphones. So I can only really hear myself. But normally I would go around saying four things that I could hear. Then three things you can feel. So I can feel the fabric of my t-shirt. I can feel the cushion that I'm resting my arm on. I can feel this nice warm blanket. And then two things you can smell. I can smell my perfume and I can smell the tea that I made. And then one thing you can taste. So I can still taste my dinner actually that I had just beforehand. Yeah. So you can also do it silently, But it actually works better for your brain if you say the things out loud because it activates that part of your brain. And then that helps to engage you and calm you down as well. So that's a really easy one that you can do anytime, anywhere as well. Just think 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it doesn't matter if you get the senses in the wrong order. It's just usually easier to see 5 things and to hear 4 things. Probably you can't taste 5 things in one go, but just do whatever works for you. You could even just do one of each sense, but that's a very quick and easy thing that you can try. So just experiment to find out what works for you and what really turns up sensations and gives you a steady grounding anchor to focus on and take your awareness to. Does that all sound okay so far? Any questions or anything? Yep, great. All right then. So we're going to move on and just do a very quick visualization. Sometimes people love visualizations, sometimes they don't. So I'm going to guide a really brief visualization. If visualizations don't do it for you, then that's fine. Take it or leave it. But I'll just talk us through quite briefly because I guess we've run a little bit behind schedule, but we've still got time. So if you want to get yourself comfortable, back into your posture, whatever works for you, sitting, standing, lying, and close your eyes if you're comfortable with it. And I'm going to ask you to imagine that you're walking into a forest, just walking through the trees. Perhaps you can hear bird song. Maybe you can hear a stream flowing through the forest. You're just walking among the trees. Perhaps the light is shining in through the branches. Is just strolling comfortably, surrounded by nature. And as you're walking, you come to a fallen tree. There's a nice big tree trunk that's just the right height for you to sit down on and just rest your legs for a moment. You just sit down on this fallen tree trunk, resting there gently, feeling the weight of your body sinking into the tree, and feeling your feet grounded on the forest floor beneath you. Perhaps there's a bit of sunlight shining through just in front, landing by your toes. Just feeling very comfortable and grounded in this spot in the forest. And I invite you to imagine that your feet are rooted in this forest, and that actually there are roots emanating from the soles of your feet into the ground beneath you, interconnected with the roots of all the other trees around you, part of this same forest community, just holding you there with stability and steadiness as part of nature. And perhaps you're gazing up now, looking into the forest canopy where the sunlight is shining through. And you might want to stretch your arms up towards the sky. And I invite you to imagine that your arms are also branches reaching up to the sky, reaching up to the sunlight as part of this forest family surrounding you. So you have your feet rooted into the ground, providing that stability, that steadiness. But your arms as branches also reaching to the sky, reaching for the sunlight. And perhaps you can feel a bit of a breeze blowing through the forest, You might be swaying a little as you're resting on the tree trunk, but you have the steadiness of the roots anchoring you into the ground. And you can hear all the bird song around you. And then I invite you to just bring your attention back to your body, just the feeling of heaviness as you sit on the tree trunk. And imagine that those roots and those branches have evaporated, but you still feel that steadiness and that connection to nature as you come back to your own body and the weight of your body on the tree trunk. And I invite you to imagine that you step up from the tree trunk and walk back into the woodlands, back into the sounds of the bird song and the river flowing somewhere nearby. And you step out of the forest into the sunlight, back into the rest of your day, but feeling steady and grounded and connected to nature. When you feel ready, I invite you to tune into the sounds around you, to notice the light on your eyelids, the temperature of the space around you, any noises, and just gently take your attention back into this room, back into the space that we're sharing together, and just get comfortable again and take a stretch if you need to. Thank you. That was a bit random, but sometimes people enjoy visualizations, and it can feel grounding to connect with roots, and grounding into the space below us and nature and things like that. So it's a different one to try and see how you like it. Okay, so we're going to move on to a very quick bit of journaling. So if you've got your notebook and pen, we'll move on. We'll move on to do the journaling. We'll just do a few quick points. So I'll just give you some prompts to start writing on. Just go wherever it takes you. If you get stuck partway through, just go back to the original prompt and start again from that prompt and see where it takes you. And don't worry if you end up going off on a random tangent, that's fine. I'll probably give you about 1 minute for each prompt, and maybe a little less, depending on how it looks like you're going. For the first one, I'm just going to give you, say, 30 seconds to just free flow write anything that came up for you during the visualization that you just feel like noting down and taking your attention to. So go ahead and write anything that came up that you'd just like to make a note on. And I'm going to do that too. Hey, so if you want to come to the end of the sentence that you're on for that, and with all of the prompts, if you feel like there's still more that you want to write, you can just leave some space in your notebook and maybe go back to it later. So for the next one, we're just going to bring it into the present moment. So just take a moment to tune into how you're feeling right now. and what you notice in your body or mind. And just the prompt is just in this moment, I feel dot. In this moment, I feel dot, dot, dot. And if you just want to come to the end of the sentence, and then thinking about setting well-being intentions, the next prompt is this month I will ground myself by dot. So this month I will ground myself by. Okay, and if you just want to come to the end of the sentence you're on. Okay, and then for the last prompt, I'm just going to give you 30 seconds or so just to write down a list of some of the things that anchor you. So maybe it's some of the things that we tried tonight, or maybe it's things that you just know work for you, but just write down all the things you can think of that help to anchor or ground you. So you've got that as a resource. Okay, so if you want to come to the end of your list, then we're going to move on to the final practice, which is the mindful movement. I don't know, you might already be familiar with mindful movement. There's just a couple of things to mention before we start the movement. So it's quite different to exercise. It's not about stretching really far or striving, being the best, anything like that. It's really about focusing on the effect of the movement on your body. So the most important part of it is basically bringing awareness to the movement and the effect that it has on your body, and also noticing the interaction between your breath and the body. So you want to move with the natural rhythm of your own breath rather than adjusting your breath to the movement, which is what we maybe automatically do. But actually, you want to match whatever's happening with your breathing. So if you're breathing quite slowly, then moving quite slowly and matching it to your own breath rather than necessarily the rhythm that I'm doing. So you don't need to match the pace that I'm going at. You just adjust it to whatever works for you. Obviously, take responsibility for your own body. You know what works best for you. Don't push yourself too far on anything. Don't do any movements that might cause you harm. If you've got an injury or a limitation that you're aware of. That relates also to a principle that we use in mindful movement, in mindfulness, that we call hard and soft edges. So basically, the soft edge is where you feel the first sort of sensation. So the first kind of stretch or challenge a little bit. And then the hard edge would be the last point before you start to strain yourself or feel some pain or some overwhelm. So, to give an example, if I was to do some shoulder circles, this might be the soft edge where I can feel that I'm doing some movements, but it's not too difficult or anything. But if I, say, for example, had an injury and I was to go like really big with my shoulder circles, then I might actually be approaching my hard edge and at risk of doing myself some damage with that. So within mindfulness, we want to be a bit playful and try to play between the hard and the soft edge. So not going too far and injuring ourselves, but also not doing such little movement that we don't really notice or feel anything. So it's all just about tuning into those sensations and the relationship with our own bodies and noticing what works for us. Does that all sound okay? That all make sense? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you're going to be able to see me on the big screen. So let me just unplug. And has it stopped sharing? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to move myself slightly into a better location where I've got more space to move to guide you through this. I'm going to do the movements standing up, but you can choose to do them sitting down if you prefer. It's up to you, whatever works for you and what's most comfortable. If you do have any kind of mobility issues or balance issues, you might want to do them sitting. Or if you are standing, you might want to have a chair in front of you that you can use for a balance aid. But it's entirely up to you what you want to do. You can do them sitting or standing, whatever's easiest. And the key, as I mentioned, is just tuning into the movements and tuning into your breath and just focusing on what works for you. So we just start with a moment of stillness and just getting comfortable in whatever posture you're in and just noticing how that feels in your body. Noticing if there's any sensations that you can feel as you're standing or sitting. If there's any tension or any tingling, any warmth or coolness, just noticing what you feel and just being aware of your breath as well while you're standing there, just tuning into it. And then I invite you to start by just sort of gently swaying a little bit forwards and backwards, just within whatever's comfortable for your balance. And just feeling the sensations in your toes and your heels, noticing the muscles in your legs, and noticing the effects on the rest of your body as you're gently moving in this way. And then coming back to stillness again. And taking a moment to notice the effect that movement has had on your body. And then I invite you to gently sway from side to side a little. You might want to lift your heels up off the ground a little if that's comfortable for you and it feels safe. Perhaps noticing how that feels for the toes and the heels. Maybe you can feel the movement in your hips as well. Perhaps you even notice it all the way up to your shoulders. as you're moving from side to side gently. What do you feel in your body as you're making this movement? Perhaps you notice yourself moving with your breath, and then coming back to stillness again, taking a moment to tune in, perhaps closing your eyes for a moment to really focus on those sensations, feeling if there feels like there's any difference from when you started the movements to how your body's feeling now. And with all the movements, you can have your eyes open or closed, but do whatever feels safest for you. And now I'm going to invite you to gently circle your hips if that is comfortable for you. Just noticing how that feels and just moving within a range of motion that's comfortable for you. It's not straining or going past your hard edges. And after you've done a few circles in one direction, then gently turning back and moving in the other direction. Perhaps you might notice that it feels different going in one direction than in the other. But just tuning into that and noticing what your body is telling you. And again, maybe you notice yourself synchronizing with your breath. You might even realize that you've been holding your breath a little while you're moving. And if you are, then make sure you take a breath and just gently coming back to stillness again. And noticing the effect of that movement on your body, any sensations that you're noticing. And then I invite you to gently sway a little, perhaps letting your arms move a little in front and behind your body if that feels comfortable. You might feel the movement in your hips, your lower back. Perhaps you can feel your hands gently slapping against your body as you're turning, just moving in a way that's comfortable for you. And then slowly coming back to stillness again. And noticing how that feels. And I'm going to invite you to raise and lower your arms in time with your breathing. So as I'm breathing in, I'm just going to loop them up into a circle. And as I'm lowering down, I'm going to raise them down with my out breath. And just go with the flow of your own breath. So breathing in and raising up. I'm breathing out as you're lowering down. Up on the inhale and down on the exhale. Just gently, not stretching beyond your hard edge. Inhaling upwards and exhaling downwards. And just do that a couple more times in time with your own breath. And then gently coming back to stillness again and noticing the effect on your body. And then I'm going to invite you to do a couple of Qigong movements. So for these, we're just going to start with our hands gently kind of at our belly with the palms facing upwards. And again, we're going to synchronize them with our own breath, the movements. So just time it to your breath. You don't have to match mine. And as you're breathing in, I invite you to gently raise your hands to chest level and then turn them over and lower them down with your exhale. So you're lifting them up to your chest with your inhale and then lowering them down, facing your belly with the exhale. So breathing in, going up, and breathing out, going down. And just noticing how this feels in your body and where you notice the sensations. Maybe it's in your shoulders or your arms or your hands. Just gently breathing in and out as you're moving. So in on the way up and out on the way down. And just a couple more times. And then coming back to stillness again. And perhaps closing your eyes and noticing the effect on your body. And then we'll do another Qigong movement. So we're going to start in the same way with our hands facing upwards at our belly. And again, synchronize with our breath. But this time we're going to breathe in up to the chest. And then we're going to push our hands outwards in front of us. And then breathe in as we bring our palms back to our chest. And exhale as we go down to our belly. So breathing in, out from the chest, breathing in as we return, and out to the belly. And just timing it to match your own breath. Inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale. And we'll just do this a few more times. Just noticing how it feels in your body as you're doing these movements. And just one more. And then slowly coming back to stillness again. Noticing how it feels in your body. Noticing your breath. And we'll just finish by doing a little swaying again from side to side. Just gently moving your body. Noticing how that feels. And then coming back to stillness again. And just taking a moment to rest and to breathe, to tune into the sensations in your body, noticing what you're feeling. I'm feeling a bit of tingling in my fingers at the moment. And then if you've got your eyes closed, if you're ready, you can gently blink them open, come back to the room. Maybe you want to have a bit of a stretch or another bit of movement if you haven't had enough already. Whatever feels comfortable for you. And then we can go back to sitting down if you've been standing. With all these exercises, or not exercises, I guess, practices, you can adjust them. So you can do all of those kind of movements whilst you're sitting down if you want to. You can do them much smaller if you need to. You can just move your hands very gently. Any sort of mindful movement that's just letting you tune in and feel that connection with your body and your breath. And yeah, just be mindful about it. Hopefully that was relaxing. And yeah, if there's anything you want to share about it, feel free. Or if you've got any questions, let me know.
The
Um,
the movement was really relaxing. I found myself just kind of exhaling a lot, like releasing,
mm,
I guess. Yeah. So that
yeah,
was really nice.
yeah. I find it quite calming. I quite like doing mindful movement in the evening before bed. So if I've been a bit overexcited during the day and my mind's quite busy and maybe I'm not maybe I'm not feeling like sitting for meditation or my mind is just wandering too much, then maybe just focusing on the movement instead is quite grounding and helps me to slow down and get more in the mood for bedtime. Get away from screens as well
Mhm.
instead of watching TV.
Mhm.
Um, well, thank you very much for coming for the session today. It was really nice to practice with you again. But it's been lovely to practice with you guys again.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Holly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll stop the recording, and then if there's anything you want to share that you don't want on the recording, that won't be on it. But for anyone that's watching on replay, thank you also for watching on the replay.